What's that?
Like, in your gut, do you think that fight will ultimately end up happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning, and Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
Dana White previously confirmed that Jon Jones had agreed to face Tom Aspinall. But now, questions are swirling as Jones appears to be backing away and going silent.
Jon's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Crazy.
UFC President Dana White recently stunned the MMA world by confirming that Jon Jones has indeed agreed to face Tom Aspinall. Amid swirling speculation, social media drama, and non-stop fan discussions, White stated that this isn't just a rumor. It's a fight waiting to be made official. According to him, Jones has accepted the offer, though no concrete date has been locked in. If finalized, this bout could dramatically shift the balance in the heavyweight division. But with negotiations unfolding quietly, the whole situation feels more like a calculated chess match than a typical fight booking.
It's a conversation we've had many times now, the Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones fight. It's a bit different now, right? Because Jon's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight, Tuesday. We'll figure this out.
But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy, I didn't realize that.
Dana White made it clear that online chatter won't influence how the UFC moves forward. Despite Jon Jones dropping hints about a possible showdown with Francis Ngannou and making cryptic comments about vacating his title, White remained firm. Jones has accepted the fight, and the UFC is pushing for the long-awaited clash with Tom Aspinall. Still, White admitted that working with Jones is never straightforward, likening it to working with an artist. Unpredictable, complex, and always on its own timeline.
It was kind of crazy how much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou on her contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
While Dana White has ruled out any immediate return for Francis Ngannou, the back and forth between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall continues to generate headlines. Aspinall recently stated that he views himself as the true heavyweight champion and has stopped waiting around for Jones. He's aiming to fight twice before the year ends, under the belief that Jones may already be done with the sport. Whether or not Jones returns, Aspinall is focused on moving forward, with Cyril Gane emerging as a likely next opponent if Jones vacates the title or remains inactive.
I love professional wrestling. This was a moment to be made. You call out Tom Aspinall, you walk his butt into the octagon as the man that's getting his hand raised. It's your moment. You can almost big dog Tom Aspinall. Cyril Gane no-sells you. He lets you sit there with your thumb in your mouth, just sitting there with nothing to do. Now you're the man. Cyril Gane now wants an opportunity at you. Do you big dog him, or do you go, okay, my ultimate get back to you is...
I'll kick his same as everybody else.
Were you disappointed that he didn't call you in? Like, get in here, Tom Aspinall. I'm gonna get.
I was in Paris, like that's his place. I would have got booed out of the arena, but that was fine. Like I was there for it. But listen, it worked out good for me in the end. I ended up fighting Pavlovich. I got a new contract. I got a big knockout. I got the interim title, defended it. Like, it worked out pretty good. So
Yeah.
I ain't complaining.
Yeah, you should we are both in agreement that you should no-sell him now. I would make him win 10 fights to get a title fight if I was you. I'd be like, nope, you want to do me like that? You disrespect me? This is my way of getting you back.
Ariel Helwani recently shed more light on the uncertainty surrounding the potential Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall bout. Speaking on his YouTube show, Helwani revealed 3 key developments that further complicate the situation. According to him, Jones initially requested a payout similar to what elite boxers earn, an unusually high number by MMA standards. Surprisingly, the UFC was willing to meet his financial demands. Jones reportedly agreed to the terms at first, but later pulled back, leaving the future of the fight unclear and negotiations at a standstill.
Say to all of you, what was it, 2 months ago now, 3 months ago, they got him the money. I'm not even going to call it money because as I've said from the beginning, he always deserved millions upon millions of dollars. Money, it's what he's owed. It's what he's worked to achieve. But, you know, there was a back and forth. They got him that money. They finally got him that money. And he said yes. And then he said no. And since he said no, they've been trying to figure out a way to get him to do this fight. One last fight. He ain't budging. And he's been starting to give us some sort of indication, hints, that he is not interested. But right before 316, he gave us many indications. And when I say not interested, I don't mean not interested in fighting. I mean not interested in fighting Tom Aspinall specifically.
Secondly, Helwani pointed out that even though Jon Jones appears reluctant, the UFC remains committed to making the fight happen. Dana White has reportedly been vocal, both behind the scenes and in interviews, about his belief that this is the matchup that needs to be made. For the organization, it's the most logical and high-stakes bout in the heavyweight division right now, and it's what fans have been clamoring for. But despite the UFC's efforts, Jones is said to be uninterested in cooperating with the push to finalize the fight.
He's giving you hints. He's done. He doesn't want to do this anymore. I spoke to the UFC a long time ago about what my future plans were. I haven't really worked out since my last fight in New York. Honestly, I believe it's been in the UFC's best interest to keep presenting me as the company's champion, not Tom. This idea of the TV deal has been brought up. This fight is pre-TV deal. New TV deal comes into play, so it's not really in their best interest. But anyway, I've been playing the role of company man by doing nothing at all. Jon, company man. Maybe the greatest contradiction of all time. The UFC has done more for Jon Jones than any fighter on the roster, and that includes Conor McGregor. They have bet backwards more for him than any fighter in the history of the sport. Lest we forget, around 7 years ago, they moved an event on fight week because he was not going to get cleared by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They moved it to California. They have never done that for anyone. They probably will never do that again.
Helwani's third major update revealed that while Jon Jones still intends to compete again, he has no interest in facing Tom Aspinall. If true, this complicates the UFC's current plans for the division. It's rare for a reigning champion to sidestep the clear top contender, and if Jones continues to resist the matchup, the UFC might be left with no choice but to strip him of his title. That would likely lead to Aspinall being promoted to undisputed champion and facing off against Cyril Gane or another top-ranked opponent in a title defense.
Doing the right thing. He didn't do the right thing with the light heavyweight belt, and he sure as hell is not doing the right thing here because Tom Aspinall has been the guy long before he even fought Stipe Miocic. So remember that when you're comparing legacies. Remember that when he's talking about legacy, what will this do for his legacy? How will he be remembered as opposed to how GSP is remembered? More from Dave.
Adding more speculation to the mix, Tom Aspinall recently claimed that the UFC might be getting ready to formally announce Jon Jones's retirement. Speaking with a calm but firm tone, Aspinall emphasized that his earlier comments about Jones being done weren't made in jest or for attention. According to him, he's simply sharing what he genuinely believes to be true. If such an announcement is indeed imminent, it could dramatically alter the direction of the heavyweight division in the near future.
I saw an interview where it said you and Jon are aligned and you guys have decided together to allow for the UFC to tell you what you're doing. Is that true?
Nah, man, John's retired. What are you talking about, guys?
What do you mean?
John, you guys don't follow John on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too. But the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career. We all know. We know John's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So John's retired and it's time that we move on.
During a recent UFC press event, commentator John Onyx suggested that a potential matchup between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall could take place this December in Las Vegas. While he clarified that he wasn't sharing insider information, Onyx expressed confidence based on the ongoing buzz surrounding the fight. He also mentioned that the bout would carry even more weight if both fighters entered as reigning champions, a scenario now in jeopardy if Jones is stripped of his title due to prolonged inactivity or unwillingness to commit.
John, does Aspinall and Jones happen in 2025? What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, I think we see it December 2025. T-Mobile Arena, Dateline, Las Vegas.
Not New York. Why not New York?
Well, Jon Jones fought and won at Madison Square Garden in New York last November. I'm a Boston guy. No, I mean, he checked that box. I'm not sure what the taxes are, but why does Jon Jones need to fight at Madison Square Garden? Why not fight at T-Mobile Arena in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada? You guys live there. No? I don't know.
I'm feeling it, yeah.
In an unexpected twist, former UFC star and current analyst Chael Sonnen recently claimed on his YouTube channel that Jon Jones requested a staggering $12 million to face Tom Aspinall, and that the UFC accepted the demand. Sonnen suggested this payout could become the biggest in UFC history, eclipsing the massive purses earned by legends like Brock Lesnar, Georges St-Pierre, and Ronda Rousey. Despite the financial agreement, Sonnen noted that Jones hasn't formally turned down the fight. Instead, he speculated that Jones might still be strategizing, possibly waiting for more leverage or simply stalling the process.
Allegedly, the number that Jon wanted, and I believe that to be $12 million. I got my own sources. I don't believe that Jon's turned it down. Even though Ariel's confirmed it, even though that's believed in our industry, I do not believe that Jon Jones got a phone call matching Jon Jones's demands and he said no. And I do not believe that Jon Jones would play that game of chicken. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we wouldn't have heard about it. If they believe it, if it's to the point that they're ready to move on, it's to the point when they're done trying is when they go book a different fight for Tom.
Michael Bisping, former UFC champion and current analyst, recently shared his thoughts on why the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight hasn't been made official. According to Bisping, the UFC could be strategically holding back the announcement to ensure it gets the massive spotlight it deserves. He believes that a clash of this scale shouldn't be revealed casually on social media, but rather through a high-impact promotional campaign complete with press conferences and media tours. Reflecting on his own experience as a fighter, Bisping noted how the UFC has always carefully timed big fight announcements for maximum exposure. In his eyes, the current silence may not signal trouble. Rather, it could mean the UFC is planning something major behind the scenes to build anticipation.
Now, of course, this is one of the most highly anticipated fights in all of UFC history. And you can't just announce it, oh, the fight's going to happen. No.
That's stupid.
Fights of this magnitude, the UFC want to do a proper job. They want to announce it in a spectacular fashion. They want to have a press conference. They want the world's media there. They don't want someone on YouTube or whatever or on the phone just going, yeah, the fight's happening, right? Even when I was fighting my fight, I wasn't allowed to announce them. They wanted to announce them, as I say, in the proper way to make sure that all the world's media is there and it gets all the coverage that it deserves. This is the kind of fight that, of course, deserves that kind of attention. This is a fight the world are crying out for, and this is a fight that it seems like we are going to see.
I told you guys already, we'll get Aspinall versus Jones done. The heavyweight fight will happen. Just relax. I'll announce that.
The situation grew even more confusing after Jon Jones made a surprising claim during a seminar in Thailand. He suggested that both he and Tom Aspinall had agreed to delay their clash until the UFC gave the official go-ahead. However, this statement didn't line up with Aspinall's version of events. The interim champion openly denied any such agreement and revealed he was already preparing to face a different opponent. This ongoing disconnect between Jones's words and his actual actions has only added to the uncertainty surrounding the potential fight, leaving fans and analysts unsure of what's really going on behind the scenes.
When are you fighting Tom?
I was waiting for it. When are you fighting Tom? Governor. The UFC, and Tom, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now, Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez recently shared his perspective on Tom Aspinall's rise through the division and how he might fare against Jon Jones. While Velasquez acknowledged Aspinall's explosive movement and power, he expressed skepticism about the Brit's chances against a tactician like Jones. In Velasquez's view, Aspinall's offensive approach, though dangerous, can become predictable over time, something that plays right into the hands of a cerebral fighter like Jones. Rather than relying on raw strength, Velasquez believes Jones would approach the matchup with a calculated strategy, disrupting timing, exposing flaws, and using his fight IQ and preparation to systematically take control.
What do you think of Tom?
Great, obviously, champion of the world. Amazing, he's beaten some tough guys to get there.
You think he beats Jon Jones?
No, I don't think he does.
Why not?
So me just watching him, I kind of see his pattern a little bit, and his striking, the way he comes in and strikes. And I think Jon sees it too. Jon's a studies man. He does his homework. He's a master at this. He's gonna know what to do. So I don't think he beats Jon. No. The simple fact is the way Tom he does have a pattern that's somewhat easier to find when he comes in and strikes. And I think you know what we're talking about. A lot of things come with that. It's disguising your pattern. It's throwing fakes here and there before. But when he comes to attacks, he comes in and attacks. It's 100% full go. He comes in, glides in, lunges in, and does his attack. Again, not that it's not effective. It is. He's done great things with it. The type of guy that Jon Jones is, I think he studies them and he beats them because of that.
Martin Tibura offered a different perspective, arguing that the delay in confirming the fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall may not stem from hesitation or uncertainty. Instead, he suggested it's a deliberate strategy aimed at generating buzz. In Tibura's view, both fighters, along with the UFC, are using the extended build-up to stir public anticipation and increase negotiating leverage. By stretching out the suspense, the promotion ensures the fight garners maximum attention and reaches its highest commercial value before an official announcement is made.
It's crazy to think what this guy is capable of and how quick that was, and where is the roof? That's the only question. Who can stop him right now? I cannot tell. I know Jon Jones in his prime time maybe, but now he might be a little bit older and the skills might be not there. So I don't know. It's crazy where he's going to.
Curtis Blades gave a slight edge to Tom Aspinall, estimating the interim champ holds about a 55% chance in a potential showdown. Still, Blades didn't downplay the uphill battle Aspinall would face against a veteran like Jon Jones. While he acknowledged Aspinall's skill and momentum, Blades highlighted the immense challenge of overcoming someone with Jones's depth of experience, mental toughness, and all-around fight IQ. In his view, Aspinall would have to fight with near-flawless execution to come out on top.
Do you think Aspinall beats him?
Yeah, I would pick him. I would go 55% him. Obviously, it's not going to be a landslide. We're going against Jon Jones. He's a legend. He's got all the weapons.
Rashad Evans, a former opponent of Jon Jones, offered a thoughtful perspective on the situation. While acknowledging Jones's legendary career and long list of accomplishments, Evans emphasized the psychological burden that comes with protecting such a legacy. He noted that although Tom Aspinall has strong momentum and brings excitement to the division, Jones's hesitation may stem less from fear and more from a calculated assessment of what's truly at stake. From Evans's point of view, Jones is not avoiding the challenge. He's simply being strategic about whether it makes sense to risk everything he's built this late in his career.
All right, last thing. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, who you got?
I got Jon Jones. I think Tom Aspinall is a man, but I feel like, Jon Jones is just another level. He can do it in so many different ways with his striking, with his grappling, and I feel like, being in a situation, coming in a fight where he's kind of being pushed into this point, I feel.
Tom's a big boy.
Yeah, but I feel like with Jon's a big boy too, and Jon knows how to fight like a big boy. Right. One thing I feel like what Tom does really well is he moves so well, and I feel like that may give Jon a little bit of trouble, but I feel like Jon is smart enough to figure it out.
MMA legend Georges St-Pierre weighed in with a long-term view, noting that even the greatest fighters can't outrun the effects of time. While he praised Jon Jones as one of the most accomplished athletes in MMA history, St-Pierre cautioned that aging inevitably brings a decline in sharpness, whether it's in reflexes, endurance, or timing. He pointed to Tom Aspinall's youth, power, and agility as real challenges, especially if Jones isn't operating at full capacity. Still, St-Pierre expressed confidence that with the right motivation, particularly financial incentives, Jones could rise to the occasion and close out his career on a triumphant note.
Ever lives, talk about if I have to choose someone in his prime that I put in the Coliseum hand to hand, I think I would be Jon Jones. It's hard to deny that. However, nobody beats time, and Tom Aspinall is on a hell of a run now. So it's to see how they get a match. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. As a fan, I want to see this fight. I would like to see this fight, but I think Tom is very hungry, and it's up to Jon to see if he still wants to do this and if the UFC can compensate him good, because I think he deserves it. So it's going to be a hell of a fight.
UFC contender Arman Tsarukyan broke down the strategic side of a potential Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. According to Tsarukyan, Jones's ability to control range and use his reach advantage would likely be the key to his success. He believes Jones wouldn't engage recklessly, but would instead remain patient, picking his shots and using precise distance control to shut down Aspinall's forward pressure. In this scenario, Aspinall's aggression could end up working against him, as Jones would look to capitalize on any openings created by overcommitment.
Who do you see as the #1 pound-for-pound guy in the UFC right now? Is it Makhachev? Is it somebody else?
Of course, it's Jon Jones.
It's Jon Jones?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We got to get him fighting Tom Aspinall maybe this summer.
Yeah, that's the fight everybody wants to see, even me. And because young guy versus GOAT and real heavyweight. So I feel like it's gonna be hard for Jon Jones.
Israel Adesanya shared a tactical perspective, highlighting how Jon Jones could tilt the fight in his favor through grappling. Adesanya noted that if Jones secures early takedowns and sets the pace from the ground, it could seriously compromise Tom Aspinall's momentum. In his view, Jones thrives when he's able to control the rhythm of a bout, and by doing so, he could sap Aspinall's explosive energy and stop the fight from turning into the kind of striking heavy exchange that benefits the British contender.
Yeah, Aspinall, Jon Jones. If that does happen.
I don't know, man. But Aspinall, the way he dispatched over
the Russian guy.
Oh my God! But he's the same height as me, if not an inch taller, but thick.
Yeah.
The speed.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I'm like, okay, that's the danger. But again, grappling. He's a black belt.
Leg belt. Who give?
Jon is.
That's different.
They gotta fight, but if they don't ever fight, we'll never.
Former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir offered insight into the tactical dimensions of a potential showdown between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. While Mir acknowledged Aspinall's powerful striking and knockout potential, he emphasized that Jones's grappling expertise and ability to dominate positions could be the deciding factor. Mir suggested that Jones, having already cemented his place in MMA history, doesn't necessarily need this fight to solidify his legacy. From his perspective, the high risk and low reward of facing a dangerous rising contender like Aspinall makes any hesitation by Jones entirely reasonable.
I think Tom might have the best chance of anybody to beat Jon right now. But that being said, I still think Jon wins the fight just because of his wrestling. I think he puts, Tom on his back and is able to nullify his jiu-jitsu from being top position with his elbows and control. What does Jon win to take that fight? He goes out there and beats Tom. Is it really going to make or break his career? I don't think anybody cares.
Right now, the UFC is navigating unfamiliar ground. If Jon Jones declines to face Tom Aspinall, and won't willingly vacate the title, the promotion is left with a difficult choice. Either strip him of the belt or continue trying to draw him back into action. In the meantime, the heavyweight division remains at a standstill, and frustration among fans continues to build. If Jones is serious about securing his legacy, a showdown with Aspinall is the defining moment. But should he choose to walk away, Aspinall looks poised to take the reins of the division, whether or not the longtime champion is there to stop him.